My beloved child, let this word sink deep into the most hidden place within you, until every deceitful voice must fall silent. You are not precious because of how much you can do, how far you have achieved, or how many people praise you or remember you. You do not become more lovable when you succeed, nor do you become less valuable when you stumble. Before you could prove anything, I knew you. Before you knew how to call yourself by name, I called you mine. Before you had any accomplishment to present before the world, I placed upon you the seal of unwavering love. You were created by my hand, preserved by my mercy, redeemed by my love, and covered by my Holy Spirit. Therefore, do not let the world decide who you are through fleeting praise or sharp criticism. Do not place your identity on the ever-changing scales of emotion, achievement, appearance, or recognition. Those things may come and go, may lift you up today and leave you disappointed tomorrow. But my love for you does not rise and fall with the seasons. You belong to me, not as a guest temporarily invited into the house, but as a child who has had a place in the Father's heart from eternity. There are times when you look at your imperfections and conclude that you are not good enough to move forward. You see the cracks, the delays, the wrong decisions, the weak prayers, the seasons when your heart is weary, and you think all of these things have the power to lock your future shut. But my child, I did not choose you because you have no weakness. I chose you because I know my power can be revealed gloriously, right in the place you thought was your limitation. My grace is not so fragile that your mistakes can exhaust it. My mercy is not so small that it must withdraw before the days when you fall short. I do not come to you as one who counts faults, but as the Father who knows how to lift, cleanse, shape, and bring you back into the form I intended. What you call failure, if placed into my hands, can become soft soil where humility grows. What you call weakness, if you stop hiding it, can become the place where I set my strength like a lamp in the deep night. So do not be afraid when I call you into the unknown. I never lead you onto a path and then abandon you to manage alone in the fog. You may not see every turn ahead, but I do. You may not know how tomorrow will open, but I have already gone before you. Your feet may still tremble, but my hand does not tremble. Learn to trust me not only when you understand, but also when everything within you is still full of questions. Faith is not always a feeling of great strength. Sometimes faith is simply one small step placed down through tears, one yes spoken in trembling, one decision not to turn back even while fear still stands nearby. I do not despise your small steps. In my eyes, one true step of obedience is more precious than 1,000 promises that never become action. Do you remember Gideon when I called him? He did not rise as a confident man filled with glory. He was hiding, living in fear, seeing himself through the limitations of his family, his circumstances, and his own strength. But I did not call him according to how he saw himself. I called him according to what I had placed within him. I saw a man who could rise when he saw only someone small. I sent him not because he was already strong enough, but because I was with him. And as he obeyed step by step, my power was revealed not through numbers, not through visible strength, but through dependence on me. You are the same. Do not wait until you feel completely ready before you move. If you wait until every fear disappears, you may miss the season I am opening. True readiness is not found in no longer trembling, but in daring to place your trembling under my guidance. I know there are voices within you that keep whispering that you cannot, that you are unworthy, that it is too late, that you are not wise enough, not strong enough, not pure enough, not special enough. Those voices want to keep you in the old room, where you are used to doubting yourself and seeing yourself as lower than what I have spoken. But today I tell you to rise from that place, not with arrogance but with trust, not to prove to everyone who you are, but to live according to what I have known about you from the beginning. You do not need to ask fear for permission in order to obey me. You do not need everyone to understand you before you can follow me. You do not need complete answers before you can set your foot on the path of light. You only need to know that I am the one calling, and my voice is more trustworthy than every noise around you. Every step you take in obedience is doing something deeper than you realize. There are changes that do not begin with a loud sound, but with a quiet choice in the heart. When you choose forgiveness instead of holding bitterness, a door opens. When you choose faithfulness instead of giving up, your roots grow deeper. When you choose prayer instead of anxiety, the sky within you begins to brighten again. When you choose to walk, even before you can see the whole way, you are declaring that I am greater than what you do not understand. And each step like this will gradually transform you, not only on the outside, but in the way you see, the way you love, the way you endure, the way you hope, and the way you stand firm before the very things that once made you fall. Do not think today is an ordinary day if there is a call within your heart to rise. Heaven may open not through a dazzling miracle right before your eyes, but through a quiet redirection inside your heart. When you stop bowing your head before shame and begin to look up to me, that is already a holy beginning. When you stop waiting for others to affirm you and begin believing what I have spoken about you, the chains have already begun to fall. When you say, I will go, even without knowing what the long road will look like, heaven records that obedience as the seed of a new season. I can use the very day you dare to rise, to begin things that, many years later, you will look back on and understand. That was the moment you not only stepped out of fear, but stepped to my guidance. And my child, what I do within you is not only for you. When I heal you, that light will touch the weary people around you. When I lift you to your feet, your story will become encouragement for those who think they have no hope left. When you learn to walk by faith, your life will quietly testify that I am still working, still restoring, still using fragile people to reveal my gentle and majestic power. You do not need to become perfect in order to be used by me. You only need to remain in my hands, tender before my leading, honest in your weakness, and willing to keep walking when I call. So rise, my child. Walk forward with a heart that still trembles, but with eyes fixed on me. Let my grace be greater than the voice of self-condemnation within you. Let my power be stronger than the fear that has held you back for too long. I have begun a good work in you, and I am not the one who leaves unfinished. What I have started will patiently shape, faithfully teach you, gently lift you, and lead you in holiness, until what I have sown in you bears fruit in its proper season. You do not need to know every method. You only need to know me. You do not need to see every step. You only need to take my hand. You do not need to become enough by yourself, for in me you will receive what you need for each day. Go, my child. Ahead is not only the unknown, ahead is the place where I am waiting for you, with love, power, and faithfulness that never change, my child. What grieves my heart is not the times you are weak, nor the moments when you stumble in weariness. I know you were formed with fragility. I know there are days when you must fight against things you do not dare to name. I know there are nights when you lie still while a storm rages within your heart. I do not reject you because you are weak. nor do I turn my face away, because you are not yet whole. What saddens me is when you begin to call distance normal, lukewarmness a temporary season, delay wisdom, and then use reasons that sound reasonable to cover a very deep truth. You have grown used to living without placing me at the center. You do not need to loudly declare that you have wandered far. It only takes one day when you wake up and do not seek me, one decision you make without asking me, one pleasure you pursue without remembering my presence. And that distance has already begun to grow silently within you. In earlier days, you once let me enter your mornings like dawn. Touching a window, you once knew how to pause, how to listen, how to feel your heart soften when I corrected, upheld, and comforted you. But little by little, the noise of life came in like muddy water, pulling you from one thing to another. Work, worries, desires, praise, fear, fleeting pleasures, empty conversations, all took turns occupying the place that should have belonged to me. You did not resist me through loud rebellion. You resisted me through the times you said, later, through nods that did not give birth to obedience, through promises you made to me, and then allowed to dissolve like thin mist under the morning sun. I was still there, but in your life, I was gradually pushed to the margins like an old guest whom you honored with words, yet no longer gave a seat at the table of your heart. I do not say these things to sink you into guilt. I say them because I love you too much to let you sleep peacefully in a bed that is drifting toward the edge of a cliff. There is an indifference more dangerous than great falls, because it wears the clothing of normality. It does not startle you immediately. It does not make you cry right away. But each day, it takes away a little more of your spiritual sensitivity. At first, you only ignore a gentle prompting. Then you skip one prayer, then you begin to feel that not seeking me is no serious matter. Then your heart hears correction and no longer trembles, hears invitation and is no longer moved, stands before what is wrong and no longer feels pain. That is not maturity, my child. It is the sign of a garden without water, where the leaves may still appear green on the outside, but the roots are slowly drying in the soil. You have built many walls around yourself, and painfully, many of those walls are not to protect you from those who harm you, but to keep me from touching the places you do not want to surrender. You want to hear me speak about promises, but you avoid me when I speak about pruning. You want me to open doors, but you do not want me to close the paths that are causing you to wander. You want me to bless you, but you keep holding tightly to habits that cloud the purity within you. You want to be embraced without being shaped, lifted up without bowing down, healed while still keeping the very sources that cause your pain. But, my beloved child, my love is not indulgence that makes you weak. My love is a pure fire, gentle enough to warm you, yet holy enough to burn away the things that are destroying you from within. Perhaps you have told yourself that you are only busy, that one day you will return to a deeper rhythm of life, that when everything becomes stable you will give me more. But look carefully. Busyness is not always the reason. Sometimes it is the hiding place of avoidance. You still have time for what you desire, still have strength for what you consider important, still find space for the things that feed your own cravings. So the issue is not only that your schedule is crowded. The issue is that the order of love within you has been overturned. I am not asking you to abandon every responsibility in life, but I am calling you to rebuild the altar in your heart, where everything else must bow before my presence. When I stand in my rightful place, your work will become brighter, your love will become purer, your decisions will become firmer, and your steps will wander less through the fog. Remember the story of King Hezekiah when he became gravely ill and was told that his life was about to come to an end. In the moment when he could no longer rely on crown, fortress, or power, he turned his face to the wall and wept before me. Those were not the tears of meaningless despair, but the sound of a heart returning, recognizing that all outward glory becomes small when the life within needs to be touched. I heard, I looked upon him, and I added days to his life. But afterward, when peace returned, he too had to learn that favor was not given so the human heart could become self-satisfied, but so it could live more deeply in humility. Do you see? Even those who have once been rescued can forget holy trembling if they do not guard their hearts. Therefore, what I am calling you to today is not merely one emotional moment, but a steady return, a daily choice to place me again in the highest place. Do not regard the things you are tolerating as small simply because they have not yet produced great consequences before your eyes. A wrong seed, if watered long enough, will become a tree whose shadow covers the whole path. A compromise nourished today can become a chain tomorrow. A lie you allow to remain can teach your heart to grow accustomed to darkness. A desire you refuse to bring into the light can grow into a hunger that knows no restraint. I do not warn you because I want to steal your joy. I warn you because I know what truly gives you life. The things that promise freedom but draw you far from me are not freedom. The things that make you feel strong but cause you to lose purity are not strength. The places where you are celebrated but can no longer hear my voice are not places meant for you. Even so, today is still not the end. The fact that you can still hear this call means mercy is still knocking at the door. I do not stand before you as a cold judge, but as the father who sees his beloved child wandering for too long and is still preparing a new robe, a new table, and new arms for the day you return. You do not need to come back with a perfect speech. You only need to be sincere. Tell me where you have grown cold. Give me the reasons you once used to conceal your distance. Let me touch the places you are afraid to expose. True repentance does not make you smaller. It opens the door for you to be rebuilt. True obedience does not imprison you. It brings you out of cages decorated with false promises. Now, my child, return while your heart can still soften. Turn back before what you consider harmless takes root too deeply. Let me renew within you the stream that has been buried under the dust of life. I will not despise your trembling steps. I will not crush a heart that desires to return. I will wash away what has made you heavy, rekindle the fire that has grown dim, reopen the ears that have grown weary, and teach you to love me not only with words, but with a life arranged around my presence. Do not delay any longer, my beloved. Today, place your hand in mine. Today, let the silence between us be broken by one sincere word of return. And when you come back, you will realize that I never left the threshold. I have been standing there still, patient, holy, gentle, waiting for you to step into the light once again. My child, do not let your heart delay any longer when the call within you has already sounded many times. There are things I have shown you not through thunder, but through a very quiet unrest in your heart, through the heaviness you feel whenever you step into a place you thought was familiar, through the unexplainable exhaustion after conversations that seemed harmless. I do not stir you so that you will be confused. I stir you so that you will awaken. There are hands stretched out before you, not to lift you up, but to keep you trapped in a circle of control. There are sweet words that do not carry the fragrance of love, but only cover manipulation with a gentle garment. You have tried to look at them with compassion, and I do not blame you for that. But compassion does not mean remaining where your purity is worn down day by day. Kindness is not placing yourself in the middle of a place full of schemes and calling it sacrifice. I am your Father, and when I tell you to step out, it is not because you are weak, but because I am protecting what is precious within you from being violated. There are places that were once a shelter from the rain, but over time have become rooms without light. There are relationships that once gave you a sense of belonging, but now make you feel small, confused, and doubtful of my voice within your heart. You keep thinking that if you are more patient, more gentle, more clear in your explanations, more loving, then everything will be healed. But my child, not every house has been entrusted to you to repair, and not every battle bears your name. There are battles that, if you enter them, you will not win through courage. You will be pulled into a whirlpool of accusations, performances, false tears, and arranged stories designed to make you feel guilty. I am not telling you to stay in order to prove your integrity. I am telling you to leave so that your integrity will not be dragged down into the mud. Look more carefully with the wisdom I give, not with the fear of displeasing people. Smiles may shine on lips while darkness still hides in motives. Embraces may feel warm on the outside while within they are subtle ropes of bondage. Praise may sound like recognition, but if afterward it makes you dependent, makes you bow your head, makes you exchange peace for acceptance, then you must recognize that it is not food I have placed on the table for you. I do not want you to live suspicious of everyone, but neither do I want you to be naive before the signs I have already shown you. True love does not suffocate you. True companionship does not make you lose your voice. A place blessed by me will not require you to betray the purity within you in order to remain. Do you remember how David once had the opportunity to raise his hand against Saul in the cave? He had been pursued, misunderstood, driven into dark places. Yet he did not let the urgency of his circumstances turn him into someone who acted from bitterness. He did not try to prove he was right by doing something contrary to the reverence in his heart. He left, took refuge, waited, and placed vindication in my hands. That story does not only speak of patience, it also speaks of the wisdom of one who knows that confrontation is not always obedience. Sometimes, obedience is found in stepping back from a dangerous place, keeping your heart from being poisoned, and letting me handle what you have not been called to settle with your own hands. You do not need to turn yourself into the judge in that chaotic room. You only need to hear my voice and follow the path I open. So when I say, leave, do not understand it as fleeing because you have lost. It is a holy separation. There are traps set not through open hatred, but through pity, through invitations, through words that make you feel as though you are the only one who can save the situation. But you are not the redeemer of anyone. You were not born to carry everyone else's chaos and call it love. I have given you a tender heart, but a tender heart also needs holy boundaries. I have given you mercy, but mercy must not become the key that allows others to enter and destroy the garden I am tending within you. When you stay where I have warned you many times, you do not only lose time, you may gradually lose clarity, peace, and the ability to discern good and evil through my eyes. There are people who may not appear as evil, yet the influence around them does not draw you closer to me. They may speak beautiful words, use language that sounds as though they understand you. But after each encounter, your heart feels stirred into confusion, your faith is shaken, and your joy is drained. Examine the fruit produced by that presence. If a connection continually causes you to hide your light, shrink your calling, stay silent before the truth, or accept something that wounds the dignity I have placed in you, then it is no longer a place where you should dwell. I do not ask you to hate anyone. I do not teach you revenge. I teach you to step out with clean hands, a calm heart, and the steadiness of one who knows that my protection is more precious than the approval of the crowd. There will be times when leaving feels difficult because old memories pull you back. You will remember the days when they were once kind, the moments when you once felt heard, the promises that once made you believe that place could become home. But my child, do not let a few withered flowers keep you forever in a garden that no longer has life. I do not deny the good things that once existed, but I also do not want you to use the past to excuse a present that is exhausting you. A season that has ended does not become holy simply because it began with tenderness. When the clouds have withdrawn from that place, you do not need to build a tent under a dry sky and beg it to rain again. Follow me, for I know where the new water is. Do not fear the loneliness that comes after leaving. The first silence may make you feel empty, but in that silence I will restore the voice you lost. Amid the pressure, I will teach you to distinguish between true peace and false calm. I will wash away within you the toxic words that clung to your memory, the glances that made you doubt your worth, and the bonds that made you think staying was faithfulness. You do not need to prove your maturity by endlessly enduring a place that is wounding you. Sometimes, maturity is knowing how to close the door behind which I no longer stand. Come under the shadow of my protection, not with panicked footsteps, but with peaceful obedience. I will not let you lose your way when you leave what I have told you to release. I will place before you purer people, healthier spaces, and conversations that do not force you to defend every word. I will bring you into a place where you can breathe, grow, and hear my voice without being covered by the noise of manipulation. Trust me more than the fear of being misunderstood. Trust me more than guilt. Trust me more than the pull of things that no longer carry life. When you step out according to my voice, you are not losing shelter. You are entering true refuge. And beneath my arms, you will realize that the safety you have been seeking is not found in staying with what is familiar, but in walking with the one who has never deceived you. There will be a moment when you feel as though every old definition of yourself is being taken away. The roles you once relied on, the relationships that once made you feel valuable, the achievements that once made you confident. All of them may be placed in my light. When that happens, do not panic before the emptiness. Emptiness is not always loss. Sometimes it is the space I have cleared so I can place something new there. You do not need to hold tightly to fragments just because they are familiar to your hands. I do not tell you to let go so that you will be left empty-handed. I tell you to let go so that your hands will be free enough to receive what could not fit into your old life. The breaking you fear may be the very deliverance you prayed for, but have not yet recognized in its form. In those days, you may want to blame me. You may say in your heart that I was silent too long, that I did not come at the right time, that I allowed you to endure more than you could carry. I do not hate your questions, my child. I do not turn away from your tears. A compassionate father is not afraid of the cries of his child. He only aches when that child chooses to cry alone in a dark corner, instead of running into the arms that are open. Bring your confusion to me. Bring your disappointment, your trembling, your weariness, and your imperfect words to me. I do not need you to pretend to be strong before me. I knew you before you knew how to name your pain, and I also know how to restore peace to the deepest places within you that have been shaken. Therefore, when that movement comes, remember that I have not lost my sovereignty. What surprises you does not surprise me. What feels to you like the night falling may be the very place where I light the first lamp for a new journey. I have opened roads where there seemed to be no way, lifted the weak to their feet, and used what was considered small to create great signs. I am still who I am, unchanged by your emotions, not withdrawing my love because you tremble, not abandoning the work because it is passing through a dusty and carving stage. You are being reshaped, not rejected. You are being called deeper, not forgotten. You are being brought out of the familiar so you can enter the land where you can no longer live by old habits, but must learn day by day how to lean on me. Then you will look back and understand that the shaking was not the end, but the narrow door leading you into holy maturity. You will see that what once made you cry has become the place where I poured out tenderness. You will see that what was taken away made room for a cleaner life. You will see that at the very moment you thought you had lost direction, I was quietly setting your feet back on the right path. Let your heart soften. Do not resist the hand that is healing you, simply because that healing touches a deep wound. I am nearer to you than breath, more enduring than every human promise, more faithful than every changing season. And when every noise quiets down, you will hear me call you by name, not as a failure who has merely survived an event, but as a child purified, rebuilt, and prepared to step into the new song I have been quietly writing for your life for a very long time.